I think it's interesting that it's come to this because, the Niners, they've tried so hard to move on from their past. They've given Jimmy Garoppolo all this money. They've talked about how much they like him, but they can't escape this question, Dad. What about Kaepernick? He should be cheap. They still can't escape this question, Dad, because you know what? Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't proven to be better than this guy. And Kaepernick, I don't know if he still is in shape or whatever, but it's a question the Niners have to face.
Okay. I'm extremely against Kaepernick, and it's not because I don't like him. And folks, I really don't like him. And I admire his social stance. I have nothing with that. Everybody.
We just knew him before he had a social stance.
I mean, he was a very rude, disappointing, went out of his way to be a jerk.
Yeah. Maybe he's had an awakening. I don't know him now, but we're talking like 22 to 27 Colin Kaepernick.
He was horrible. Oh. But here's why I think. So I'm putting that aside.
Yeah.
Here's why I think he would not be a good option for the 49ers. First of all, Iggy, how many years has it been that he hasn't played?
4.
Well, so when you haven't played for 4 years, you're kind of rusty. Mm-hmm. You really have to make up a lot of territory. Mm-hmm. I don't think he will. I don't think he's disciplined enough to. I don't think he's hungry enough to. I don't think anybody could, let alone him. In addition, Iggy, when I see him, he looks thin.
He was that way with Chip Kelly. And Chip Kelly was saying that all season. He was like, look, guys, this is not the same Colin Kaepernick that Jim Harbaugh had. That Colin Kaepernick was 235 pounds of muscle. This guy's about 215. He said that all the time.
Yeah, he looks, he never got hit a lot because he could run.
Yeah.
But still, I think he's a little thin.
Yeah.
For his body.
He's not the Kaepernick you remember.
No, and
he's 33.
And then the third thing, and this is Iggy will know this is important. He will become the center of media attention, not for his play.
Yes,
he'll become the center of media attention because he's Colin Kaepernick and he took a knee. He has all these political pronouncements. So after games, the media is going to want to talk to him about social and political issues. Now, he may say, I'm a football player. I don't care to talk about that.
He won't.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would because he would feel it was his duty to do that. And I think it would be a horror show for the team.
Yeah. The league has changed. Players, Eric Armstead talks about this stuff when in press conferences. In all leagues, more players talk about it at press conferences, and it's more accepted because of what happened this summer with all those riots and stuff. And that's fair. But again, with Kaepernick, it's not. He's different. He started the movement. He's the most famous, and whether that's right or wrong, he just is always going to be like Muhammad Ali level famous in terms of not just the sports world, but like popular culture. And if he's on the team, you get CNN, Fox, everyone coming, all these non-sports people, and it's like the team becomes quickly Colin Kaepernick and them. And that's, I think, a big reason he hasn't been brought back to the league. He is so famous for not playing football. And the NFL doesn't really like that. They want you to be all in with football. What I would say is if the Niners were going to consider Colin Kaepernick, I would just sign Cam Newton because they always were kind of similar. They're about the same age. Cam Newton's been in the league the last 4 years, and he's never played on a team as good as this team with the Niners. I'd be more into drafting a guy. But if those are the options, if you're seriously considering Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton's actually in shape and been and trained. He was just with the Patriots last year.
Cam Newton's a loser. I wouldn't go near him. And I don't think he has heart. I don't think he has heart, and I think he's a loser, and I don't think he can throw. So
that's fair.
I ruled him out.
Rather have him than Kaepernick, though.
Yeah. What I'm saying is I wouldn't take either one of them for different reasons. But I just think, and I'm going to say one other thing about Kaepernick. He would become the focus of the team. With his ego, Kyle Shanahan couldn't stand that.
No, absolutely.
They couldn't get him out of there fast enough. When Lynch and Kaepernick came in, one of the first things they did was tell him take a hike.
And they said it was because he didn't fit. He said because he didn't fit the offense. That's not why it was. It's not why.
No, they would. Of course not.
And it wasn't because they 100% disagreed with his political stance. It's this thing. It's that it's Kaepernick's team, Kaepernick's locker room, Kaepernick's agenda. What are we talking about today? Ask Colin.
Yeah.
So that's probably why he won't come back.
Yeah, he won't come back. They wouldn't want him at all. And you know what, Iggy? Again, this is not something I hope for. It's just something that seems reasonable to me. I don't believe Colin Kaepernick will ever play in the NFL again.
East Bay Chris says, "Hey Lowell, can you give your thoughts on that Stanford story you mentioned yesterday on Twitter? The one about the conservative think tank?"
Yeah. The Hoover Institution is from my point of view, a wonderful institution at Stanford. It's a conservative think tank, and it has some of the most brilliant conservative thinkers in America. Now, for a lot of people, conservative is a dirty word. A lot of people, especially in the Bay Area, are liberal and even left of liberal. What happened was a group of Stanford professors, i.e. ultra liberals, because in academics, everybody is just a liberal now, and you have to have that narrative, said they should essentially get rid of the Hoover Institution, which has, I just want to say, Thomas Sowell, he's a black man, he's 90. He's probably the most brilliant thinker in America right now. I love him. I love what he writes. Even if I don't agree with him, I love him. He's there, and Victor Davis Hanson is there. These are thinkers. These are deep, important people. Well, these schlemiels, these liberal professors wanted to get rid of Victor Davis Hanson and a few others, and eventually get rid of the Hoover Institution, because they had reasons. Essentially because they had a different narrative. They look at the world and politics a different way.
And so they're problematic, right?
They're problematic
because you can't have anything other than one viewpoint.
That's right. They always say they want diversity of thought, but it's baloney.
Yeah,
they want their thought, and so they wanted to get rid of it. And Stanford, where I went for 6 years, and I loved Stanford, told those professors to go soak their heads. We're not getting rid of this. And what I like about it, I don't always agree with them, and I don't always agree with liberal thinkers. But Stanford and almost all college campuses are so far left in the faculty, in the student body. I think it's good to have balance. I think it's important for a university, Stanford may be the best in America, to have another point of view, because you're supposed to argue points of view. You're not supposed to say, I don't like your point of view, I need a safe space. In my classes, when I taught at Stanford, there was no safe space. You don't like it, defend yourself. Don't tell me you hurt my feelings. It's not about feelings, it's about thought. And so, and I want to say one other thing. I come from Brooklyn. My parents were Democrats, were from the Jewish ghetto in Brooklyn, and they were lifelong Democrats. They voted for Adlai Stevenson, and they were what you call ultra liberals. So that's the background I came from. And I've never even now in my life voted for.
My mom's liberal. I'm liberal.
Yeah, and then your mom, my wife, is much more liberal than I am.
Yeah,
and we all love each other.
We do.
When I went to Stanford, I was the biggest baby in the world. I wasn't even 21 when I went to graduate school at Stanford, and over the course of the years, I became very close with the head of the French department. His first name was Alphonse, and Iggy knew him. He was a philosophical conservative. I had never met one before. He was the head of the Stanford Conservative Union. And he used to, if I would ask a question, he never tried to proselytize, but if I would ask him a question, he would explain his point of view in a very brilliant and easy to comprehend way. And as I grew older, it may have been my temperament, I came to see things, some things, not all things, the way Alphonse did. I'm an old man now. I'm probably what you call center, moderate, maybe a tiny bit to the right, but you'd call me a moderate, wouldn't you, Iggy?
You've never voted for a Republican in your life. That's how conservative you are.
No, you want to know something? I didn't vote for Gavin Newsom for governor. I voted for whoever the other.
That's fine. I don't like Gavin Newsom at all.
Yeah, I didn't. He's the only one I ever
only
voted.
Politician who's ever affected my life ever, and he constantly cost me money, and I can't get over it. But I'm with you on that.
I voted for whoever the Republican was. Although I wouldn't vote to recall Gavin Newsom, I don't think that's fair. But in general, I vote for Democrats. But I have other thoughts. So anyway, it's a long way to say, leave Hoover Institution alone. And if you don't like it, go to another school.
Yeah, I went to UCLA, and what I realized after 4 years there is it actually was one of the more conservative universities, which doesn't make it conservative. It's a university. But in comparison to Stanford and Cal, just comparing the English departments, like at UCLA, they still taught the canon, 2 classes on Shakespeare, 1 class on Chaucer, 1 class on Milton. At Cal, that's racist. And sexist and backward. And at Stanford, same thing. Like they've gotten rid of maybe UCLA has now too, but in 2006 to 2007, they taught the canon, and their attitude was, I don't care. And the way they taught literary criticism was everything you analyze has to be from the text, close reading. That's like 1950s style. They don't do that at Stanford or Cal. Stanford, it's all about social context. And like a lot of times your essays are about what was happening in the world when someone wrote something, not what happened in the text. So I actually appreciated that about the stodgy conservativeness about UCLA.
Well, I certainly agree with that. And as you people know, I have a PhD in English literature from Stanford. My life, my intellectual life is based on the canon. It's based on Shakespeare, Milton, Spencer, Chaucer. And if there's something wrong about loving Keats and those people, I'm wrong. And I don't want to change. I don't know how many years I have left. I don't want to change now. That's what my whole life is built on. And I feel for me, it's a worthwhile foundation. And if you disagree, God love you. And if you have another canon you want, God love you. Don't take mine away from me.
Yep. We're going to go out on this. Ravens gave us $20 for the hard work. Thank you. Stay healthy, gentlemen. One question. What's the Cohn phone schedule? That's the other thing. As you've been gone, I started a new show called the Cohn phone, where on the weekends, I take calls and I let people come on the show. I go usually Saturday at 10 and then Sunday when I have a chance. So Sunday afternoon, something like that. So on the weekends, and I'll let you know. Thanks for the question. Dad, it's so nice to have you back. I've been looking forward to this. I can't believe it took this long.
Iggy, this was a real pleasure. I love you. Thank you.
Love you too.
And thank everybody. Thanks for listening to us today.
Yeah. And we'll be back next week. Same time, same place.